Why does the human brain remain desperately hooked on the person who shattered it? It feels like a glitch in our programming, but your mind is actually playing a dark psychological game against us. Today, we are breaking down the 10 unsettling reasons your brain refuses to let go of the people who hurt you the most. And this is only the beginning. As we go deeper, these psychological traps get progressively stranger. Fact 1. It begins deep within our brain's chemical pathways, where trauma bonding mirrors the exact neurological effects of a drug addiction. When someone hurts you and then throws you occasional affection, it triggers an unpredictable dopamine rush. You aren't actually missing the person. Your brain is simply experiencing a severe chemical withdrawal, begging for relief from the very source of your pain. Fact 2. But here's where things get strange. Your memory actively lies to you through a phenomenon called fading affect bias. As time passes, your brain acts like a biased film editor, scrubbing away the emotional pain of the worst betrayals while leaving the romanticized highlights completely intact. You find yourself longing for a version of a person that only exists in a heavily edited archive of your mind. Fact 3. If you're still watching, you're officially curious about how deep this goes, and our third reason is cognitive dissonance. The human mind absolutely hates holding two conflicting beliefs at once, so when a loved one treats you like an enemy, the mental tension is agonizing. To resolve it, you start rewriting the narrative and making excuses just to avoid admitting the person you trusted was a lie. Fact 4. And this leads us to a brutal behavioral trap known as the sunk cost fallacy. When we invest years of our lives, our tears, and our deepest vulnerabilities into someone, our brains treat that emotional investment like non-refundable cash. Instead of cutting your losses, your mind convinces you to double down on a sinking ship, falsely believing that more time will finally force the investment to pay off. Fact 5. What happened next in our evolutionary history shocked psychologists when they realized our brains frequently mistake familiarity for safety, even when that familiarity is destroying us. Known as repetition compulsion, this drive forces us to return to toxic people because their specific brand of chaos feels normal. You aren't staying because the relationship is good, you're staying because your brain prefers a familiar hell over an unfamiliar paradise. Understanding this next concept changes everything. It is called phantom longing, a state where the actual presence of the person is nowhere near as intoxicating as the agonizing space between you. Your brain confuses the intense, obsessive anxiety of trying to win them back with genuine love, leaving you completely blind to the fact that the person you're chasing is empty. This changes everything when we look at how trauma rewires our survival instincts, inducing a state called learned helplessness. When someone repeatedly breaks your spirit, your brain becomes convinced that pain is your permanent reality and that you lack the strength to survive on your own. Like an animal in a cage with the door left wide open, you stop trying to escape because your internal compass has been shattered. But the deception goes even deeper, bleeding into the territory of identity fusion. Over time, your brain structurally integrates your partner into your very sense of self, tangling your goals, routines, and self-worth with theirs. When they hurt you and pull away, your brain doesn't just register a breakup, it registers an actual amputation of your identity, leaving you terrified of who you are without them. And this is where the psychological horror reaches its peak, driven by the absolute terror of the unknown. Evolution hardwired human beings to prefer a certain, predictable negative outcome over a completely unpredictable one. Your brain applies this primitive logic to your heart, whispering that the familiar misery of the person who hurts you is far safer than facing the vast, terrifying silence of an empty room. Finally, we reach the most shocking psychological trap of all, the elusive mirage of closure. We stay because our minds are completely obsessed with answers, demanding to know why they did it and if they ever truly cared. But by staying to demand an explanation from the person who broke you, you are handing the key to your freedom to the very person who locked you in the cell. It is an agonizing realization that the human mind can become its own worst enemy, using everything from trauma bonding to the illusion of closure to keep us chained to our past. If you remember anything from today, remember the horror of learned helplessness and realize that the cage door is actually open. If this video brought you clarity, please comment your thoughts, hit that like button, and subscribe to join us. The mind is a labyrinth, but you hold the map. Do not let the person who broke you write the rest of your story.